on to more of my fanatics this week. For those of you that haven't been to Vlogbrothers, it's a YouTube channel where it started out where these two brothers, who are self-proclaimed nerds, talk to each other for an entire year by non-textual means. So they could talk on the phone, or they mainly did it through a video blog like I'm doing right now. And they would talk back and forth for the year. One of the brothers, Hank, is like an ecological guy. He runs all kinds of eco websites and all that. But the other brother, his name is John Green, and he is a writer, and he writes books for young adults. And I like to read. I don't like to read a lot because I don't really have the time to, but when I come across some books that I like, then I'll read them. And from being addicted to the Vlogbrother channel on YouTube, that's our sump pump, by the way. Nothing busted. Our sump pump had to get some water out of the basement. But anyways, when I hear about a good book, and a lot of people like a book, then usually I'll rent it from the library. Well, I've heard so much about his books that I went to Barnes & Noble and bought them. The followers have kind of took on the term of nerd fighter. I'm considered a nerd fighter wannabe, because to be a nerd fighter, you actually have to write a song and post it, and I'm not about to do that yet, so I'm going to stay in the wannabe category. But part of the nerd fighter thing is to go to your local bookstore and pick up one of John Green's books and put a little slip of paper in one of his books that talks about nerd fighters. So the 3 books that he's got out so far, the first one is Looking for Alaska. This is the one I'm reading right now. I'm only on chapter 45, or page 45 in my Twilight bookmark. So I'm still reading it. This was the first book. I think this was the first book that he wrote. So I started with this one first. After that one, then I have the second book he did, An Abundance of Catherines. And another thing they do is In My Pants jokes, by the way. And it's funny because Hank Green, John's brother, his wife is named Catherine. And they were doing, In My Pants, you take the name of a book and you say In My Pants. So like Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone would be Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone in My Pants. And one of the videos, he talks about An Abundance of Catherines in My Pants. But he says, I don't know about an abundance of Catherines, but I know one Catherine is very good in your pants. So that was a funny joke that I absolutely died laughing, and Tim looked at me like, are you going to be okay? And I said, it was just funny. But anyway, the third book is Paper Towns. Now, these two are in paperback because I tend to read in bed, and I tend to read laying down and under the covers. So I tend to do this to my books, which I know is bad. I know that's bad on the binding, but I can't help it. So I don't normally buy hardbacks, but I couldn't find this in paperback at my Barnes & Noble. And I got Sad Marlowe. There's another cover that is Happy Marlowe, and it's in like yellow background, and she's happy and whatever. I think that's her name. Yeah. But anyway, I was like debating because these paperback, not so expensive. This really wasn't expensive per se, but it was more than I normally spend on a book that I haven't really done a lot of research on. And I only got it because I'm a wannabe nerd. Anyway, I wasn't gonna get it, but then I was standing there and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna get this. And as I was trying to decide, I came across this. Warning. Your awesome levels are off the charts. www.nerdfighters.com. Join us, and remember DFTBA. Don't forget to be awesome. Ha! There are nerd fighters in Beaver Creek, Ohio, which is where I got this at the Barnes & Noble. There are Nerdfighters close to me. And they put a note in the book, so I was like, okay. I looked at the other books while I was there just to see if there was any more, and there wasn't. This was the only one that had a Nerdfighter note in it. So I was like, you know what? There's a Nerdfighter note in there. I'm a wannabe Nerdfighter, so Marlo's going home with me. So anyway, so that's my little shopping trip for today, or for this week, anyway.